So Stephen King is basically the reason that most of us are scared of creepy little small towns. Well, folks, gather around the old cursed VHS player because apparently the YouTube copyright gods have spoken and they really, really hate haunted hotel rooms. Just 12 hours after my 13 best Stephen King horror movies video was cleared and you guys were enjoying it, my dear viewers, or should I say my constant readers, boom, copyright claim on 1408. It showed up in my inbox like an angry ghost demanding rent money for clips that are old, dusty, moldy, and I have used many, many times, but because you have enjoyed this video so much, it attracted some spooky attention. So now, instead of fighting an endless battle with the YouTube content ID monster, we're gonna do something even scarier. I'm revising the whole damn list. Yes, welcome to horror in the modern age. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I am adding some movies to this that probably, rightly, arguably should have been here to start with. They're going to be sprinkled throughout this video, including some honorable mentions that break my own rules of whether it is an adaptation or not, because I love the movies. So here we go. I'm going to give you one right off the bat that is a little lower for me than other people because the ending hits you like a sucker punch to the gonads, and that is The Mist. This is where Frank Darabont came out swinging with Stephen King's story. Very Lovecraftian here. This has one of the bleakest endings in history. It was in my video, shocking endings to horror films, endings that traumatized us because it traumatized me, particularly as a father, as you have this otherworldly menace as other dimensions and other interdimensional beings come pouring in to our world. They bring all these bugs, just nightmare fuel monsters with them. And at the end, our hero thinks he's going to do the great thing and save them all. And boy, does it not work. And the timing could not have been worse. The Mist, recognized as a good movie, but man, that ending is just a monster that I don't want to fight. So I don't watch it very often, but you gotta respect the quality. It's gonna check in here at the new start of our list. All right, we're gonna jump to the regularly scheduled programming. You might see a few little tweaks in there. I might grab a few other things and throw in at you, and I'll be back with the rest of the new list. Creepy little kids and definitely creepy clowns. The man's written over 60 novels and more than half of them have been adapted into movies. Sometimes brilliantly, sometimes not. So today we are counting down the 13 best Stephen King horror movies. The ones that actually nailed that mix of small town Americana, supernatural dread, and pure nightmare fuel that King can deliver at his best. And yeah, we'll give you some love to some weird ones too, because if you grew up renting VHS tapes in the horror section, you know half the fun of Stephen King adaptations is seeing how gloriously off the rails he can go. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so Stephen King adaptations. Remember, I'm not gonna put in things here that have a couple of his stories in it as like an anthology, so you're not gonna see like Creep Show. I'm not gonna lean into the drama, all that kind of stuff, so not if you're expecting like The Green Mile or Shawshank Redemption. We're leaving that out. We're going mostly horror focused here, but my list my rules. So let's jump right into it with number 13, going back to 1984, Children of the Corn. Now, this is one that kind of gave you the creeps if you grew up around any kind of farm fields or anything like that, definitely like I did. Children of the Corn, very creepy. On paper, it's a perfect Stephen King setup. A couple stumbles into a small town ruled by creepy kids worshiping a demonic scarecrow named He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Not sure. It's a little campy here, but the acting in it is also kind of a mixed bag. Outlander. You've got Linda Hamilton in here. A lot of the sequels to this went straight to video, but the original has so much atmosphere, and that's a lot of what Stephen King's about. The isolation, the sound of the rustling corn, the cult-like fervor of all of this, the kids turning homicidal, Village of the Damned kind of thing, all that kind of stuff. Part supernatural horror, part rural folk horror, a little slasher elements, all of that in here. Children of the Corn, I just think it has to be in here. It's kind of classic King. It comes in at 13. Now, at number 12, we are going to go with The Running Man. Yes, this one pushes the definitions of horror, but my list, my rules, so deal with it. It's got a sci-fi horror action element to this, but The Running Man is less about ghosts and more about the horrors of the wrong people taking over and what could happen, and television in general. King kind of predicted reality TV with this in a way, influencer culture in a way, 24-hour media blood sport circus that they've turned into decades before the Hunger Games did anything like that and made this sort of dystopian games trendy. Arnold Schwarzenegger stars as the wrongly accused man forced to compete in a televised death match where he has to go up against gladiator psychopaths with names like Buzzsaw and Dynamo. It's colorful, like neon 80s vibe, over the top, plenty of 80s cheese, but full of satire, and the horror of putting yourself in that situation is pretty disturbing. The wrongfully accused, against the machine, all that kind of stuff. It feels less like sci-fi today, more just like general news. But The Running Man, I think it's super underrated. It comes in at number 12. Now, number 11 is one that is just pure fun, and I will argue anybody about that. It's 1986's Maximum Overdrive. This is one where Stephen King decided to direct the movie himself while fueled up on a bunch of Colombian Bam Bam, and it shows in many good ways, I would argue. It is a glorious disaster. That's what it is. You've got Halley's Comet going overhead with the plot, and the trail of this comet kind of brings the machines to life, makes them sentient beings. So you've got killer trucks, killer vending machines, the main homicidal truck with the green goblin face that's iconic. You could argue the plot makes no sense. I do not care. The dialogue is crazy. I do not care. Emilio Estevez is kind of just like rolling with it like the rest of us because it is damn fun. It's turn your brain off and watch the world explode type of movie, all set to a banging AC/DC soundtrack, gallons of fake blood, crazy score that hits in there. You've got a movie that is just crazy, scary, ridiculous. Absolutely 100% unforgettable is Maximum Overdrive. This is the best example of King's mind with no filter, no restraint, and fueled on gasoline and a little of that fun stuff that got him going back in the day. Maximum Overdrive, an absolute blast. It comes in at number 11. Now, at number 10, I just have one thing to remind you. Sometimes dead is better. That line alone earns Pet Sematary a spot on this list. The movie is the definition, though, of grim. It's not one that I like to watch very much, particularly as a father, but it is very good. It's a story about grief, death, and the worst possible decision a parent can make because of those things. When a man discovers an ancient burial ground that brings the dead back to life, he ignores every single warning and uses it anyway, and the results are pure nightmare fuel. Little Gage Creed with the scalpel cutting the Achilles tendon. It's one of the creepiest things. You've got Zelda. You got all kinds of stuff. It's not just scary. It's an existentially horrifying film. Pet Sematary hits because it's about what we all would or wouldn't do if the worst things happened to us, and the terrible cost of the wish fulfillment if it actually came true. Pet Sematary, absolutely grim and horrifying, but a well done movie. It comes in at number 10. Now, number 9 on this list, we go back to the 1970s and the first published novel adaptation for King, and that is Carrie. It's still one of the best. You got Brian De Palma, who took this story about a bullied high school girl with telekinetic powers and turned it into a bloody coming-of-age tragedy horror film. Sissy Spacek is phenomenal. She makes you feel every bit the humiliation and heartbreak that she goes through in the movie. And when that bucket of pig's blood falls on her at the prom, and then what happens afterwards, it's horror catharsis done perfectly. It's not just a revenge story. It's very sad. It's about abuse, repression, the price of cruelty, but the final jump scare kind of set the tone for those little end movie stingers. It's still legendary. De Palma, piece of masterwork here with Stephen King's book. Carrie comes in at number 9. Now, number 8 is one that I consider to be one of the scariest movies of all time. That's 1408. This one's a more late era Stephen King sleeper. It stars John Cusack as a cynical writer. He checks into a hotel. He's investigating. He writes books. He basically debunks horror and the supernatural type elements for his books. And then he finds out that when he willingly opens the door into this hotel room, he makes the choice of his free will to enter in a hell dimension of his own making. And you get all kinds of apparitions. You get the walls closing in on this man. It is psychological terror done to perfection. It's about despair. It's about a hopeless cycle of torment that you're never going to escape. 1408, tons of atmosphere closing in on you. It comes in at number 8. Now, number 7 is what happens when you mix Stephen King and John Carpenter. You get Christine. John Carpenter and Stephen King together is horror royalty, there's no doubt. Christine is about a possessed 1958 Plymouth Fury that turns a shy, kind of nerdy teenager into a leather-jacketed, wearing psycho, and somehow it works. It's a perfect metaphor of like toxic obsession, puberty, identity, and possession, but also a killer demonic car that eats people. Carpenter gives that all a sleek, eerie style. Headlights glowing in fog, taillights bleeding red like demonic eyes. It's all pure visual candy there. It makes it slick, stylish. It's one of those 80s horror movies that's just cool. It's like if Freddy Krueger owned a car, it would be Christine. That's what I think about every time I see that 58 Plymouth Fury. Christine, Carpenter, King, you gotta love it. It comes in at number 7. All right, checking in here somewhere in the top 5 is one that I did mention at the end, and it probably should have been here anyway, because you have Cronenberg, David Cronenberg, directing Christopher Walken, and that is The Dead Zone. Man, walking. This one it walks the line the same as The Running Man on, is this horror? There's horror elements. It's crazy. I had someone say that The Running Man has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, so it can't be a horror movie. Well, have you seen End of Days? It doesn't matter what what kind of movie the person's known for. If the script is horror, The Running Man definitely has horror elements to it. Rob Zombie basically remade that movie and called it 31. Same movie, same premise, just some basic things changed. And yes, if you were wrongly accused, set up and the whole world was against you, and they used basically AI to make you look guilty, and then you were in a death match against these monster crazy dudes, all this kind of stuff, and it felt like there was no way out. Yes, that is horror. That is survival horror, for sure. And The Dead Zone is kind of like a psycho political thriller, horror tinged tragedy. And it's tense, it's weird, it's pure Stephen King. It's aged very well. This was David Cronenberg displaying some serious restraint here. And it is a very good movie that, like I said, I mentioned it. It popped in my head. Could have been here. Should have been here all along. Here is The Dead Zone. Now, number 6 on this list, we get awards heavy with 1990's Misery. Talk about a grounded horror film that could basically really happen. Misery is the nightmare of every creative or famous person out there, being trapped by your own fan base, or really a psycho fan. James Caan plays a novelist who is rescued but then imprisoned by his number one fan. I'm your biggest fan. And that fan is played by Kathy Bates in an Oscar-winning performance. It is a masterclass in tension, psychological horror, torment, a helpless feeling, no monsters, no ghost, just obsession and a sledgehammer to the ankle. Bates is incredible. She's charming, funny, and absolutely terrifying and believable at the same time. It's also one of King's most faithful adaptations, and it is genuinely pitch perfect from start to finish. That isolation again in this small town. Everything about Misery is spot on. It comes in at number 6. Now, number 5 is one that I don't think gets enough credit. It's 1993's Needful Things. This one is pure Stephen King. 100% small town, creepy atmosphere, a mystery, leaves blowing, cold, dark, all that kind of stuff. The ideal Americana turned on its head by a sinister evil lurking just underneath, as you have a mysterious shopkeeper, Leland Gaunt, who moves into a small town and starts selling people their heart's desires in exchange for a little sin that will only cost you your immortal soul. It's part sort of morality play in that, but part comedy and part apocalypse, end of the world, as Max van Sydow plays a devilishly good character here as the store owner who just might be that man himself. And Ed Harris gives the whole thing a sort of gravitas to it, a believability, a grounded nature. It's like It's a Wonderful Life and Twilight Zone mixed together with Stephen King horror, and you threw the devil into it just for a little bit. Maybe if at the end in It's a Wonderful Life, if Bedford Falls people all started killing each other for the thing they wanted most in exchange for their souls. This is King's America, a little sinister underneath the white picket fences, a little David Lynch in that style, buried grudges, and evil that doesn't need to be a monster on screen because you know it's just right there underneath. Needful Things, very underrated. It comes in at number 5. Number 4 is what you would get if Dracula moved to New England. You've got Salem's Lot from 1979, a made-for-TV miniseries that scared the hell out of people in 1979 and still scares them today. It's slow burn, eerie horror, and features one of the creepiest looking vampires ever put on screen. You have a floating vampire kid that, to me, to this day, as a grown man, I think about it every time I have to close my kids' blinds or curtains at night, because it was nightmare fuel then. It is nightmare fuel now. That scene traumatized me. I still visualize it in perfect detail today. So do a lot of other people of my generation. And that's what makes Salem's Lot so great, is it captures King's favorite theme, the evil just underneath the veneer of the perfect idyllic little towns. It's gothic horror meets small town horror and atmosphere that still holds up decades later. Salem's Lot comes in at number 4. Now, number 3 is another made-for-TV miniseries and one of the most iconic ever. It's 1990's It. The It miniseries gave us one of the icons of horror in Pennywise. And Tim Curry, long before Bill Skarsgård did it, Tim Curry created what we imagine as Pennywise, and to me it is still unbeatable. It's a little bit dated for sure now because it's 35 years old, but the vision of this movie captures the heart of Stephen King's story. The childhood trauma, the friendship, the evil that never dies, that just changes shape, all of that. The whole town is it in some way. That line has haunted me forever. It's that little bit of evil, that little bit that lets people look the other way, that lets these bad things happen to people. It's nostalgic, it's emotional, it's Pennywise's grin, that sewer scene with the arm, with little Georgie, that still gives people nightmares. The newer films might have had more budget, but this one had more soul. It, from 1990, comes in at number 3. Now, number 2 is one of the best, if not arguably the best, werewolf movies of all time. It's Silver Bullet. This one doesn't get enough love either. Silver Bullet is also King doing an American-style monster movie with just all of the old school Americana vibes in it. A werewolf mystery set in a sleepy, small, idyllic town. Perfect. It's basically Stand By Me meets The Howling. That's what you get here, but then the practical effects are great. The pacing's tight. The werewolves of Tax actually have weight. They're violent. Starts off very violent. It's a perfect 80s horror comfort movie. And I say that as someone who is, to this day, is still creeped out by the scene in the church where everybody in town turns into werewolves. There's something so visceral and scary and animalistic about werewolves. So it's scary enough to thrill you, but warm enough to, make you remember it fondly and be able to just stretch out with, an old school VHS and some popcorn on the carpet and watch it. It just gives those vibes. It is so perfectly done. Maybe Gary Busey's best performance of his career, arguably, and that's odd to say. Corey Haim, all of it just works. Silver Bullet, one of the best ever. It comes in at number 2. All right, and because I love you guys and I love the 2 movies I'm about to give you as honorable mentions, I am back again because apparently the universe doesn't like you because they're trying to take that first video away from you that was doing so well. But here we go. I had a lot of you mention Rose Red. Well, guess what? I love Rose Red. I pound the drum on Rose Red, but it's not an adaptation. It was actually written for the screen. So it didn't make the list initially. I just kind of tossed it out. I needed a way to start narrowing things down. I love the movie. I love haunted house films. Rose Red is a damn good one, as this whole group of people basically go and investigate this haunted house that is a take on the Winchester house from a real house where the woman wouldn't quit building because she was afraid the ghosts would get her. That's what this is a take on. Written for the screen as a miniseries. Underrated. Julian Sands, the late Julian Sands, in this movie as well, does a great job in my opinion. This is one that just has tons of atmosphere and I love it so much. Good honorable mention. Great movie. I love watching and getting lost in. The same as the other honorable mention, Storm of the Century. This one, you have Andre Lenoge who comes to town. He promises, give him what he wants and he will go away. We don't know what he wants. He's some kind of ancient demon. Is he the devil? Is he some other kind of demon? We don't know. He starts killing people, turning them against each other in the middle of a snowstorm, a blizzard that has them all with no way to escape. And it really gets dark by the end of it. But again, all of that mystery. This is one where the journey is more than the destination, and that happens a lot with King. He is not known to know how to end his books or his movies or anything the best overall, but I enjoy Storm of the Century. It has to be on this list. And I gotta say too, looking back at it, I think it should have been higher than Silver Bullet. I think it probably should have been higher than Silver Bullet because it gave us a horror icon in Pennywise. So as much as I love Silver Bullet, I think because of that, it probably should have. And I listen to or read that book every year. It is an incredible book. Gives you a whole lot more to it. I recommend it. And at number 1, come on, you know this had to be here. It's 1980s, The Shining. The Shining isn't just the best Stephen King movie. It's one of the best horror films ever made. Yes, King hates this. He hates Kubrick's adaptation, but tough luck, man, because Kubrick took King's haunted hotel story and turned it into a masterpiece of madness brought on by isolation and a supernatural evil omnipresence that just wears down on you. Jack Nicholson's performance is so iconic it became a meme before memes ever existed. Shelley Duvall's terror feels painful and real, partly because it was. The Overlook Hotel itself, the way Kubrick shot this, with the lenses he chose, the cameras he chose, how he set up the visuals in each scene to make you feel isolated in the hotel as this sentient evil being oppressing you. It is absolute perfection, isolation, the insanity simmering just under the glossy, like symmetrical perfection of this hotel. Even if it's not faithful to King's book, it's faithful to the feeling. The claustrophobia, even in this big place, the slow burn, the idea that some places are just born or created or built bad and they just can't be escaped. It's King by way of Kubrick, and it is perfect. The Shining comes in at number 1. So there you have it. The King list lives again, constant reader, my dear viewer. May YouTube's algorithm have mercy on my soul, and may haunted hotel rooms stay the hell out of my copyright inbox. Now back to your regularly scheduled horror. Hopefully I have one of those out for you later today. I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. So there you have it, the 13 best Stephen King horror movies ever made, from killer cars to killer clowns, from haunted hotels and haunted typewriters to the sewers of America. King has given us decades of nightmares that still hold up today. What is your favorite Stephen King adaptation, particularly horror as it's spooky season? Did I miss any other deep cuts? Looking at you at Dead Zone, I love Dead Zone. you could argue it's even more horror than Running Man. Fine, it's my list, but I love The Dead Zone as well. Let me know, drop it in the comments, hit the like and subscribe button. That really helps out the channel. And if you dig keeping these movies alive, discovering new movies, nostalgia, how things were, how we can make them, all of this stuff again and keep it alive for generations to come, then you can join my Patreon below. You'll get your name in lights on every single video, behind the scenes looks at my horror filmmaking, deep dive, 4K physical media reviews, things like Dracula on 4K, Night of the Living Dead, End of Days, all of it. I do it all there and so much more, and everything goes back into the channel, and I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. It's Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.